First contact deception. The massive ships appeared without warning. 7 crystalline vessels, each the size of a small city, materialized above Earth's major population centers. No radar detected their approach. No telescope spotted their journey. One moment Earth's skies were empty. The next, they were forever changed. In New York, Captain Ilara Hayes stood on the roof of the United Nations building, binoculars trained upward at the shimmering vessel that had positioned itself over Manhattan. As the military liaison to the UN Security Council, she was among the first officials called when the ships appeared. "What do we know?" General Reeves asked, joining her at the observation point. "Nothing yet, sir," Ilara replied, lowering the binoculars. "They're not responding to any communication attempts. No hostile actions either. They're just waiting." The crystalline ship pulsed with internal light, colors shifting between deep blues and purples. The vessel appeared to have no visible engines, weapons, or entry points, just a perfect geometric structure of interlocking crystal facets. "Captain Hayes," a voice called from behind them. "The Secretary General has requested your presence. The visitors have made contact." Inside the emergency session of the Security Council, diplomats and military officials from around the world sat in stunned silence as holographic images of the alien beings flickered above the center table. They called themselves the Veneri, and they spoke perfect English, along with dozens of other Earth languages. Their spokesperson, a tall, slender being with iridescent skin that resembled their vessels, addressed the gathered humans. "We come in peace and fellowship," it said, its voice melodic and soothing. "I am Ambassador Talek of the Veneri Collective. We have observed your world for some time and believe humanity is ready to join the galactic community." The room erupted in murmurs and exclamations. Ilara watched carefully, studying the alien's body language, trying to apply her military training in detecting deception to a being wholly unlike any human. "Why now?" she asked when given an opportunity to speak. "Why choose this moment for first contact?" Talek's faceted eyes turned toward her. "A fair question, Captain Hayes. Your species stands at a precipice. Your technological development has outpaced your societal evolution. Without guidance, many worlds follow this path to self-destruction. We offer an alternative." In the days that followed, the Veneri presented their case to Earth's leaders. They offered technological marvels, clean energy systems, medical devices that could cure almost any disease, agricultural methods that could end hunger. All they asked in return was partnership. Earth would become an associate member of their collective, with Veneri advisors helping guide humanity's development. Government after government agreed eagerly. Who wouldn't? The Veneri presented solutions to humanity's greatest problems, wrapped in a package of respect and apparent benevolence. But something nagged at Ilara Hayes. "Don't you think it's convenient?" she asked General Reeves 3 weeks after first contact. They stood in a secure room at the Pentagon, watching feeds from cities worldwide where Veneri technology was being implemented. "They show up with exactly what we need, ask for almost nothing in return, and everyone just accepts it." "You've always been suspicious, Hayes," Reeves said with a smile. "That's why you're good at your job. But look at the results. Cancer rates dropping, clean water in previously polluted areas, energy grid stabilizing. What exactly is your concern?" "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But I want permission to assemble a small team to examine their technology more thoroughly than these public demonstrations." Reeves hesitated, then nodded. "Keep it quiet. The last thing we need is to offend our new friends if your suspicions prove unfounded." Ilara assembled a team of 5 specialists. Dr. Layla Samadi, a physicist. Major James Chen, a cybersecurity expert. Dr. Kwame Osai, a xenobiologist. Dr. Sofia Mendez, a cultural anthropologist. And Lieutenant Alex Kim, a combat engineer. They established a secure lab in a decommissioned missile silo in Colorado and began examining Veneri technology away from prying eyes. 3 months after first contact, they made their first disturbing discovery. "It's not just a water purifier," Lieutenant Kim said, carefully disassembling one of the devices the Veneri had distributed worldwide. "There's a secondary system here that has nothing to do with filtration." Dr. Samadi analyzed the mysterious component. "It's transmitting data," she confirmed, her face pale. "Constantly, and not just operational data. It's scanning and mapping its surroundings." Similar discoveries followed quickly. The clean energy nodes contained surveillance technology. The medical scanners collected human biological data beyond what was necessary for treatment. Every piece of Veneri technology they examined had hidden functionality, most commonly data collection and transmission capabilities that weren't disclosed in the technical specifications. "We need to report this immediately," Major Chen insisted after confirming that the transmissions were being sent directly to the Veneri ships. But before they could bring their findings to General Reeves, the true Veneri plan unfolded. Ilara was awakened at 3 a.m. by emergency alarms. The screens in her quarters showed chaos, smaller Veneri vessels deploying from the motherships, firing precision energy weapons at military installations worldwide. The crystal ships that had hovered peacefully for months had opened, releasing thousands of combat craft. She tried to contact the Pentagon, but communications were down. The Veneri had clearly used their gifts to map Earth's defenses and disable key infrastructure. When she finally reached General Reeves via an old analog radio system, his voice was grim. "It's a coordinated attack, Hayes. They hit every major military installation simultaneously. The president's dead. Chain of command is in chaos. The Veneri are broadcasting demands for immediate surrender." "What about nuclear deterrence?" Ilara asked, dreading the answer. "Neutralized. Something in those energy systems they installed. They've rendered our missiles inert. We're defenseless, Hayes." Ilara watched the screens as Veneri craft systematically took control of Earth's capitals. Resistance was fierce but futile. Human weapons barely damaged the crystal vessels, while Veneri weapons devastated human forces with surgical precision. "Get your team out of there," Reeves ordered. "Go dark. You may be the only research group that knows what these bastards are capable of. Find a way to fight back." As dawn broke over the Colorado mountains, Ilara and her team loaded their equipment and research into unmarked vehicles. The Veneri conquest of Earth was nearly complete, executed with ruthless efficiency after months of careful preparation. "They played us perfectly," Dr. Mendez said quietly as they drove away from the facility. "They appealed to our hopes and our weaknesses." "Almost perfectly," Ilara corrected, her jaw set with determination. "They obviously studied us thoroughly, but they missed something crucial about humans." "What's that?" asked Dr. O.C. Ilara's eyes hardened as she watched a Veneri ship glide over the distant Denver skyline. "We don't forgive betrayal. And we never, ever forget." The resistance rises. 5 years after the Veneri conquest, Earth was transformed. Massive crystal spires dominated former human capitals. Most humans lived in designated zones, working in Veneri-controlled facilities, receiving just enough food and medical care to remain productive. Those who resisted openly in the early days were made examples of, not killed, but repurposed, with neural technology that turned them into mindless workers. But beneath the surface of apparent submission, humanity burned with a fire the Veneri couldn't see. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in abandoned mining facilities extended and hidden by resistance engineers, Ilara Hayes stood before a map of Earth displayed on a salvaged Veneri crystal screen. Around her gathered the leaders of what they now called the Nemesis Network, the largest organized human resistance movement. Perth Cell reports successful sabotage of the processing facility, Major Chen reported, marking another location on the map. 14 Veneri overseers neutralized, no human casualties. Beijing Underground smuggled out another 36 children before the sweep, added Dr. Mendez. "They're en route to Luna now." Ilara nodded, studying the pattern of resistance activities. Over 5 years, they had learned much about their conquerors. The Veneri weren't evil in the human sense. They were calculating, seeing themselves as benevolent managers of lesser species. Their technology was indeed centuries beyond Earth's, but they had critical weaknesses. Dr. O.C., update on the psychological warfare research, Ilara requested. The xenobiologist stepped forward, bringing up data on the interactive display. We've confirmed our theory. The Veneri have no concept equivalent to human vengeance or grudges. Their society functions on absolute pragmatism. Actions are taken for immediate advantage or long-term benefit, never for retribution. This had been their most important discovery. The Veneri simply couldn't comprehend the human capacity to sacrifice immediate well-being for the sake of revenge. They expected resistance immediately after conquest, but were genuinely puzzled when human sabotage and attacks continued for years, often carried out by people who knew they wouldn't live to see freedom. And the empathic disruptors? Ilara asked. Lieutenant Kim, now Colonel, activated another display. Production is at 87% of target. We can deploy worldwide within 2 weeks. The empathic disruptors were their secret weapon, devices that exploited another Veneri vulnerability. The aliens communicated partially through empathic fields, a biological function that gave them significant advantages, but also made them susceptible to emotional contagion. The Resistance had developed technology that could amplify human emotions, particularly rage, grief, and the burning desire for vengeance, and project them into Veneri empathic frequencies. It's time, Ilara said, looking around at the faces that had become family over years of struggle. Operation Nemesis begins in 14 days. The plan was audacious, requiring coordination between resistance cells worldwide and perfect timing. While the disruptors wouldn't physically harm the Veneri, they would flood their empathic senses with the full emotional force of humanity's collective trauma and resolve. 5 years of suppressed fury concentrated into a psychic battering ram. Meanwhile, strike teams would target the neural control centers that maintained the repurposed humans, freeing them to join the fight. Other teams would deploy the computer viruses Dr. Chen had spent years developing, designed to crash Veneri systems by introducing illogical recursive loops based on human vengeance concepts. On the appointed day, Ilara stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching feeds from Earth as the operation commenced. The first signs of success came from Tokyo, where Veneri administrators began behaving erratically as the empathic disruptors activated. Unable to filter the overwhelming human emotions flooding their senses, many collapsed. Others fled in what could only be described as panic, an emotion they had never shown before. Sydney reports Veneri abandoning their posts. Chen reported, incredulous. They're literally running from humans who are just standing there, staring at them. The psychological impact was devastating to the Veneri hierarchy. Their strictly ordered society had no defense against the tidal wave of human emotional feedback. As the neural control centers went offline, thousands of repurposed humans regained autonomy, many immediately turning on their former masters despite years of neural suppression. Moscow Resistance has taken control of the central spire, Dr. Mendez announced. They're broadcasting the truth about the Veneri across their own communication network. The truth, compiled from years of research by Dr. O.C. and his team, was perhaps their most powerful weapon. The Veneri weren't the benevolent galactic community they claimed to be. They were systematic conquerors who had subjugated dozens of species across their region of space, always using the same method: appear as saviors, integrate surveillance technology, then strike when defenses were mapped. What made Earth different was that humans weren't giving up. While other species had eventually accepted their place in the collective, humans fought on year after year, motivated by something the Veneri couldn't understand: the need to make their betrayers pay. As the operation entered its second day, Veneri ships began lifting off from Earth. Not combat vessels on patrols, but evacuation ships, loaded with Veneri civilians and administrators. They're running, Colonel Kim said in disbelief. Not all of them, Ilara cautioned. Prepare for the counterstrike. It came 12 hours later. The 7 motherships that had hung over Earth's major cities for 5 years activated weapon systems far more powerful than anything they'd deployed before. But the resistance was ready. Chen's viruses had infected their targeting systems. Shots meant for human population centers instead struck empty terrain or Veneri facilities. The few accurate strikes were met with salvaged Veneri defensive technology, repurposed by resistance engineers. On the 3rd day, the Lunar Command Center detected a new signal, a direct communication request from Ambassador Talek, the same Veneri who had first addressed humanity years ago. "Put him through," Ilara ordered, straightening her weathered uniform. Talek's once pristine appearance was disheveled, his iridescent skin dulled. "Captain Hayes," he began, using her old rank, "you must cease this emotional assault. It is barbaric." "Barbaric," Ilara replied coldly. "Like pretending to help us while planning our enslavement. That kind of barbaric." "We offered guidance to a species too volatile for its own advancement," Talek insisted. "Your emotional instability proves our assessment correct." "No," Ilara leaned forward. "What you're experiencing now is the one thing you never accounted for in your calculations. You understood human intelligence, human technology, even human biology. But you never understood human spirit. What do you want?" Talek asked, his composure cracking. "Unconditional withdrawal. All Veneri forces leave Earth and the solar system. All human captives returned. All technology left intact. And if we refuse?" Ilara's smile was cold. "Then we'll keep coming. Not just here, but everywhere you exist. We've already transmitted the empathic disruptor designs to your other conquered worlds. This is just the beginning." Fear, an emotion the Veneri rarely displayed, flashed across Talek's faceted eyes. "You would pursue us across the stars. For what purpose? Revenge is illogical. It serves no practical." "That's exactly what you don't understand," Ilara interrupted. "We don't care if it's logical. We don't care if it takes generations. We will never stop until justice is done. That's humanity." Within a week, the Veneri surrender was complete. Their ships departed Earth orbit in a mass exodus, leaving behind most of their technology as demanded. As the last mothership vanished into the depths of space, celebrations erupted worldwide. But in the Lunar Command Center, Ilara and her team were already planning next steps. They had recovered enough Veneri technology to begin building interstellar vessels of their own. "They'll warn others about us," Dr. Osi noted. "We may have made humanity a target for more advanced species." "Good," Ilara replied, studying star charts recovered from Veneri databases. "Let the galaxy know what happens when you betray humanity, and let those other conquered species know there's hope." In the decades that followed, humanity rebuilt and advanced, incorporating adapted Veneri technology with their own innovations. They discovered other worlds subjugated by the Veneri collective and helped them throw off their oppressors, forming alliances rather than imposing control. The message spread across the stars. Most species could handle war, defeat, even occupation, but none could handle humanity's unique capacity for remembering wrongs and dedicating themselves to setting them right, no matter the cost or time required. It wasn't humanity's technology that eventually made them a power in the galaxy. It was the one thing the Veneri and their kind could never understand: the implacable human spirit that transformed suffering into resolve and betrayal into a fire that burned across the stars.